Alrighty. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Popcorn Mango. As always, I am Razorblade Mango. And today I'm going to be doing something a little bit different because I've seen two recent movies in the theater in the span of less than a week, which is very rare for me. I have decided to not do two episodes based on these two films. I'm just going to combine both films into one episode. This isn't going to be super long. I'll try to keep them short, just like I attempt and sometimes fail to do with past episodes. So, today I'm going to be talking about Doctor Strange and Hacksaw Ridge. So let's start with Doctor Strange, which is admittedly, in my opinion, the vastly inferior of the two. I did not like Doctor Strange at all. I thought it was one of the more hollow, emotionally hollow, badly paced films I've seen from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I'm somebody of the opinion that I like both DC and Marvel. I think both of them, and I'm not even just talking about the films, I'm talking about as properties. I like Marvel, I like DC. I think both of them have very interesting heroes, even though I think DC has Batman, and Batman's like a big thing for me. But as far as movies go, the series, so far, I still think the Marvel Cinematic Universe is much better than what DC's been doing recently. DC right now is, I'd say Batman vs. Superman is fantastic. I love it. The other two have been crap. Man of Steel, crap. Suicide Squad, crap. Wonder Woman, I'm not sure. I'm hoping it's good. I'm definitely hoping Justice League is good. Let's get on to Doctor Strange. But I think recently Marvel has been really dropping the ball as far as, like, within the last 2 years, the only film of theirs that I've liked is Ant-Man. And I really, really fucking liked Ant-Man. That was a big surprise of last year. And I was hoping Doctor Strange would be another Ant-Man, where it was almost an entirely different genre, where it experimented with a lot of weird, outlandish concepts, and it would grow to be an interesting new property in Marvel's library of films. And sadly, it did barely anything for me. It was kind of dull. It had the exact opposite problem I had with Civil War, which I thought Civil War had a terrible beginning. I thought Civil War was almost putting me to sleep in the beginning half of it. The second half I thought was a big improvement, was much better, and made the film much more enjoyable. Doctor Strange is the other way around, where I actually was interested in Doctor Strange initially. I thought the opening fight scene, I thought was really cool. And I thought the opening moments with Doctor Strange losing the ability to, to perform surgery with his hands, which was his life's work, and seeing this guy be so desperate to get a cure that he's willing to do anything. So having it be this journey of healing, I thought was very interesting. And it's something that we don't really see a lot in Marvel movies. In Marvel movies, it's mostly just like an accident where they get these powers, or like they're like circumstances happen where they get these powers, or they get a suit. They make the suit, they get the suit that gives them the powers, all that shit. And this is different, where it's a man that acquires power not to protect people, but to heal himself. And I think that is potentially interesting. However, the way, like, one of the biggest problems I have with this movie is that Doctor Strange himself. I don't think Stephen Strange is a compelling protagonist. I don't, and it's sad that they get somebody as charming and charismatic as Benedict Cumberbatch to play this totally boringly written character. He's an arrogant prick. Like he's not even like charming like Cumberbatch's Sherlock is. Where Sherlock is a prick. Sherlock can be an asshole. But you almost like the guy. Like you really do grow to give a shit about him because of how charmingly and how humanely Benedict Cumberbatch portrays him. Like he's a multi-dimensional character. Doctor Strange is not. Doctor Strange is really just House. Like Gregory House, played by Hugh Laurie. Except Hugh Laurie was a lot more likable and relatable and charismatic. And you just liked him more. You just don't like Stephen Strange. He's just a dick. He's a selfish dick. And the point where he like realizes, oh yeah, I've been a prick. I better stop this because it's going to get me killed and I better become a superhero. That transition to being a superhero is not believable whatsoever. It is just so random that there's no arc for Stephen Strange. There's no good cathartic character arc for him. All it is just I'm a prick, I'm a prick, I'm a prick, I'm a prick, I'm a prick with superpowers. I'm a prick with superpowers. I'm still a prick with superpowers. Now I care about people again. And it's like was there like a giant page of the script missing where we actually get some kind of like smooth transition into him being this hero and caring about people? No, we don't get that. We get him just having the cape magically fly onto him, and he's Doctor Strange. There you go. That's your superhero origin story. Thank you for your money. See you next year for Guardians of the Galaxy 2. That's basically what the movie is. All it is he's a prick. Oh, a cape flew onto him. He defeated the villain. See you next year. That's Doctor Strange. And I know a lot of, it baffles me that a lot of praise has been heaped on the action in this movie, which I did not think was all that good aside from the opening bit. Like, people thought it was, exciting because it had, like, the Inception effects, which are very cool initially, which are a really neat effect that could have been something unique about this movie, but they do it so often that it starts to get boring by the second half. Like, when they have this big, overlong fight scene, like, traveling through, like, the fucking mirror dimension and, like, twisting all the gravity around, and then the buildings have this, like, kaleidoscope effect, this Inception effect, and it's like, yeah, it's cool from a design standpoint, but because there's no emotional connection, there's no weight to this, that you just don't care. At least I didn't care. Like Ant-Man I cared about. I cared about Ant-Man. I cared about what was going on. I wanted him to defeat the villain. So when you have these powers of them shrinking and fighting and then blowing up like the big Thomas the Tank Engine train and this like big spectacle finale, it's good because they've been building up towards that and you actually give a shit. But Doctor Strange has so much action to the point where it just becomes meaningless. You just grow numb to it after a certain point. And oh my god, with the fucking finale of the movie, what a wet fart of a finale. It's like you're building it up to be this big climactic moment, and it's just so milquetoast and limp dick, and it's like nothing. The idea behind it is interesting, but again, you don't care. The execution is so hollow and sloppy and cold that you don't care. And there's this big deal about Tilda Swinton's character, who gives like the only good performance in this entire film because she's the only one that's given any interesting dialogue or interesting character development. She's the only interesting character in this whole film. So they have it where she, like, some big revelation is about her, and it creates disillusionment in Chiwetel Ejiofor's character. And it's like, the problem is, like, there's this big arc with him. Like, he has more of a clear character arc than Doctor Strange does. Fucking I don't remember his name. Fucking Chiwetel Ejiofor's character. He has more of a clear defined arc than Doctor Strange does. So he becomes disillusioned, and he starts throwing these, like, temper tantrums about how, oh, well, we wizards must not use the dark dimensions. Oh, they talk about all these fucking dimensions, and it's like, there's so much exposition dump in it that it grows meaningless. You just get so tired and confused by all these different dimensions and portals and all these fucking rules that come with it, and it's just, the film does a very poor job of clearly communicating what is going on. Like, what the fuck is going on? And it's a mess. It's a big fucking mess. Also, poor actors that are involved with this movie. Seriously, just all these fucking thankless roles that they get. It's just, oh man. Like, Marvel does this all the time. Marvel brings in all these really good actors, and then they just totally waste them in these, like, thankless roles. Like, and this time, it's like almost every bit of the cast is given a thankless role, except for Tilda Swinton, who does a damn good job as the Ancient One, who's the only character that's interesting in this movie. But yeah, they waste Benedict Cumberbatch. He's a very good actor, and yet they gave him, like, the crappiest superhero role possible. They waste Chiwetel Ejiofor, who's given a character that is so bland and nondescript, and then at the end they want to give him this, like, this weird character arc that comes out of left field and feels like such a hard-nosed change compared to what he was before. Benedict Wong, who's a good actor, he's just, again, given nothing to do except be the butt of jokes from Benedict Cumberbatch. Michael Stuhlbarg, who's a good actor, he's given nothing to do. Benjamin Bratt, given nothing to do. Rachel McAdams. Poor Rachel McAdams. I am so sick of these Marvel movies having these semi-love interest waiting female characters that are all about, you know, the man has to crawl back to them when he's gotten his ass beat, and then they'll just be instantly forgiving, and like, they're friends, they have this, like, flirty, jokey relationship. It was the same thing in, like, one of my big problems with Ant-Man was the way they wrote Evangeline Lilly's character, who was so badly written, and then they force in some kind of romance between her and Ant-Man, and it's so bad, so just cringe-inducingly bad. And Rachel McAdams, same thing. She's given some minor flirtatious romance arc with Doctor Strange, and then you've got her patching up his wounds, and she's given literally nothing else to do. Literally nothing else to do beyond being the support for the man. It's bullshit. And worst of all, Mads Mikkelsen, who's a very good actor, damn good actor. Again, a villain that is so one note and boring and underwritten. There has never been, aside from maybe Loki and the guy in Civil War and Skullcross, whatever the fuck his name is, the guy that Frank Grissom portrays. What the fuck is his name? I need to look his name up. The guy that plays I think it's Crossbones in Civil War, I think. But he's very good. But yeah, they rarely ever have good, let alone decent villains in these movies. I can't think of a single villain based solely on their personality in any of these Marvel movies beyond Loki and oh, and what the fuck? A Crossbones from Winter Soldier, and possibly Robert Redford. That's about it. But again, Robert Redford is just Robert Redford in not Civil War, in Winter Soldier, and Zemo, I guess, is the other one from Civil War that I actually liked, because he wasn't about opening a giant portal in the sky and destroying cities. He was just about turning the Avengers against one another in an act of revenge, which was interesting. But God, man, we don't get any fucking good villains in the Marvel movies. None of that. We don't get any of them. Nothing. I guess the last note before I'll move on to Hacksaw Ridge, because I want to stop talking about Doctor Strange, because I dislike it the more I think about it. God damn, is the humor in this movie bad. Like, it is. That's usually one of their strengths. That's usually one of Marvel's biggest strengths, is humor. Like, they're really, a lot of even the bad movies can sometimes be very funny. There are moments in it that can be funny. Even Thor, The Dark World, which I think is the worst Marvel movie, can be very funny in certain areas. But, not here. This is probably the least funny Marvel movie ever. Like, Civil War was funnier than this. And Civil War was about destroying the Avengers. So, I just don't know what to make of the humor in this movie. It's just so shitty. Like every time Benedict Cumberbatch tries cracking a joke, and it just falls flat. It's not funny. Then they have these painful pop culture references. They have like a Beyonce reference that is so just cringe-inducingly stupid. Eminem gets shoved in there at one point by name. Adele and Madonna. It's just, it feels so desperate. It's like they're mining for cheap jokes. And I don't think I laughed maybe once in this entire movie. I might have cracked a smile with Tilda Swinton, because I like how Tilda Swinton portrays the Ancient One, because when she initially meets Doctor Strange and she's like fucking with him because she knows that she can like kill him in the beat of an eye, and yet she just like toys with him initially, and she gets some kind of enjoyment out of that. And I thought that was funny. I thought that was entertaining to watch. So yeah, Doctor Strange. Wow. Just probably my least favorite superhero movie. I might even like this less than Suicide Squad. Maybe. And I really, really strongly disliked Suicide Squad. I don't know if did I ever do a popcorn mango on that? I think I did. I probably did. But yeah, holy shit. This has been, this was so dull in the second half. First half, fine. Has problems, but fine. It's okay. Second half, that shit just goes off the rails, and the pacing gets all shitty, and the action gets all boring, and it's not entertaining to watch whatsoever. It's not. And the people, I don't get it. I just don't get the people that say this is more entertaining than Batman vs Superman. I don't fucking get it. I don't get it. But whatever, that's just me. Would I recommend Doctor Strange? No, but you're probably going to go see it anyway, just because it's the part of the Marvel machine. You're just going to, because if you've already seen all these movies by now, then yeah, I guess go see it when it's like at a discount theater, or if you get cheaper prices going in the morning. But for God's sakes, don't pay fucking $15 or $20 for this shit. No fucking way. No. No. Alright. So, moving on to a movie that I would definitely recommend that you go out and see for $15-20 is Mel Gibson's Hacksaw Ridge, which is his first film since Apocalypto that he's directed back in 2006. And I remember when Apocalypto came out, and I like Apocalypto. I love Passion of the Christ. I love Braveheart. I think Mel Gibson, despite what you may think of him as a person, and believe me, I have very negative thoughts on him as a person. You can't deny his skills as a filmmaker. You really can't. Definitely can't deny his skills as an actor. As an actor, he's phenomenal. So Hacksaw Ridge. This is this is the best film I've seen so far this year. I fucking loved it. In a year where so many films I see just end up being mediocre or forgettable, here's a film that's not only good, but so impactful to the point where it affects me physically and psychologically, where it was a combination of how intense the movie is, how loud the theater sound system was, how emotionally intense this film is as well. I was shaking when I came out of the theater. Like, I literally was like, my hands were shaking, and I was so affected by this movie. And I think the thing that I admire the most about this film is that even though it is a faith-based story, which a lot of faith-based films, in my opinion, fall into this trap of trying to cram down religion in your throat. Like, they try to just shove it down and give you these preachy messages where they just knock you over the head with it. And it's like, that just puts me off. Having that message delivered like that, complete turn off for me. But I think the way they do it in Hacksaw Ridge is actually very sincere and subtle, and it gives it this impression like, hey, this is what this guy believed in. You may not believe what this guy believed in, but let us at least show you how his faith caused him, like his strong belief in God influenced him to perform these incredible, absolutely astonishing, incredible acts of heroism during one of probably the most frightening situation one can possibly be in on this earth. But really, this is a film divided into two halves. The first half is kind of like a melodrama, boot camp training drama mixed in with a legal drama a little bit. And it's very good. It's a very good first half where we get to see who Desmond Doss is as a person. We get to see, how things in his life have influenced him to hold this strong belief of pacifism and to never even hold a weapon. It's believable. That's the thing. It's very convincing that even when he's literally getting beaten by his platoon in the training camp because he will not allow himself to pick up a weapon. He will not allow himself to fire a gun. He still stands by those beliefs. And I find that so inspiring. Even like I don't usually get inspired by a lot of films. I really don't. But Hacksaw Ridge, my God, what a film. My God, what a fucking film this is, where I'm even just overwhelmed with how incredible this human being was, how brave he was, how again, inspiring this guy is. Like, usually when I see stories based on quote-unquote inspiring people, I'm usually like, yeah, okay, yeah, that was cool. But I never really, genuinely feel inspired. I feel like I'm witnessing something miraculous. But here, because of how intense Mel Gibson makes these battle sequences is nothing short of incredible, amazing, awe-inspiring. Um, but it's like, even when he's being court-martialed, he still stands by his beliefs. And it's sappy, it's melodramatic, they really play up the music, and I guess it's an homage to like the melodramas like of the 1940s and the 1950s, all about men going off to war and stuff like that. Like it's kind of like a tip of the hat to that. And the first half also has, lots of, the whole film in general has very good performances, lots of very good performances. Andrew Garfield, who's great as Desmond Doss, is somebody who I've never really been that big of a fan of outside of The Social Network. He gives probably the best performance of his career in this film. And it's not one of those showy performances where it's, oh, look at me, I'm acting, please give me an Oscar, guys, I'm doing my best, I'm going through war. No, he's very subtle, very subdued, very quiet performance. And when he has to be intense, when he has to show, like horror in his eyes, loss and sorrow, it's like you feel it with Garfield's performance. It's amazing. Hugo Weaving, who I think is going to get passed over for a lot of awards, but I think he gives like the second best performance in this film. He is amazing as the father. There's a scene where Desmond's brother comes home after not telling his parents that he's going to enlist, and he's wearing his uniform to dinner. And the parents, Hugo Weaving and Rachel Griffiths, who's also good with the little screen time that she's given, but Hugo Weaving has this moment where he just breaks down at the table when realizing that his son is going to war to fight like he did, and that his son could have the possibility of experiencing PTSD like he does. So it's heartbreaking to watch. And this is a character also that is an alcoholic, a child abuser, a wife beater, and yet Hugo Weaving gives him this almost sympathy to him. Even when he's just this raging drunk, it's like, it's not cartoonish. It's that right balance between extreme and believable. He strikes that right balance. And also actors that I don't even usually like Vince Vaughn. I don't usually like him in these kind of roles, but I think he's great in this film. Sam Worthington, who I usually think is so boring, is so good in this. And other like Teresa Palmer, who I usually don't like. She's very good in the film as well. Also, actors I've never even heard of, like Luke Brasi, who I think is very good as the guy that like instigates the abuse towards Doss while he's in boot camp, and they grow to bond, kind of sorta in the heat of battle, and it's a good performance from him. But yeah, they have the the melodrama, the good performances. You got the kind of bog standard training montage in the opening acts, and it's fine. It's a very good opening. But once the film leaves that setting and goes over to Okinawa, and you get the titular, you finally get to the titular Hacksaw Ridge, where the battle is going to take place. What follows next is one of some of the finest filmmaking I have ever seen in cinematic history. The opening point where they are being briefed as to what they can expect going up Hacksaw Ridge, where they see the soldiers that have already been up there, alive and dead, being taken away, and just this like horrified, scarred look on their face, and the dead bodies. There's a great moment where they're climbing the bridge, and the camera like pans up to this, like it scales over the wall, and to see like the smoke and fire and the debris up on the cliff, and it's beautifully shot. And when they're climbing up the rope bridge, you see like blood trickling down from the side of the cliff, and it gets on the soldiers, and they have this look like, oh shit, like we are not prepared for what's about to happen. Like, we've trained for this, but we are not prepared. And it's this, like, it had me on the edge of my seat. I was almost panicking. Like, oh my god, like this is nerve-wracking going into this. So then it gets to the battle, and it's basically just this, like, it begins with this horrifying moment, and you see like it's just like you see like dead soldiers on the ground with like their guts out, and like maggots chewing on dead faces, and rats coming out of decapitated heads. And it's fucked up, and the fighting hasn't even started yet, and it's already like you get this sense of like they are building up to this. And once it does, once the chains come off, it just becomes this almost surreally insane symphony of destruction. Like, it's just this incredibly captured ballet of controlled chaos from Mel Gibson. Like, he knows how to stage an action scene. He knows how to stage a battle sequence. Like, it's at the same time, it is completely chaotic and horrifying, and people are dying left and right, like getting shot, like shot to pieces and blown up, and the flamethrowers come out, and people are lit on fire, and there's screaming, and there's killing, and there's ear-deafening artillery shots and explosions, and more screaming and fire and just gore, and it's so fucking intense. And yet Mel Gibson never once sacrifices, choreography, how the camera is in relation to where these actors are. Like, you know exactly what's going on in this battle sequence. It is masterfully filmed. Like, the 10-year gap between Mel Gibson's last film and now has not slowed down or impeded upon his ability to direct action. He is stellar at it with this action sequence, with this war sequence. It's incredible. It's so incredible and so overwhelmingly intense that my fucking jaw hit the floor, and I was like shaking. I had this I can distinctly remember this. Like, my right hand was shaking, and I had this weirdly uncomfortable, burning, tingling feeling on the back of my right leg, and I just was I was so overwhelmed by how intense this battle sequence was. I have seen nothing like this since the beginning of Saving Private Ryan, which is one of my all-time favorite films. And I thought for a second that I might need to leave the theater to just step outside real quick to get my bearings in check. I was so impressed and yet so horrified at the same time that I thought I had to leave the theater to go and just pull myself together and just splash water on my face or something, or breathe, because it was that intense. And this is no hyperbole. This is what happened to me. This is how intense this movie is. If you are squeamish, if you don't like battle sequences like this, if you don't like seeing lots and lots and lots of on-screen killing, then either when you go see it, close your eyes or don't see it at all. And even if you close your eyes, it is intense, because the sound design, like I said, with the explosions and the ear-deafening bombs and artillery and the cries of pain and of war, it's intense on both visual and audio presentation. It's beautifully done. But even so, you kind of do get used to it. Not used to it. I mean, that's a bad word, but you get accustomed to the battle after a certain point, where it's like, you know, like seeing people, like the Japanese being shot and like blood spurting out. It's shocking maybe the first time, but once you've seen it like over and over and over again, you kind of like, okay, your brain just starts to adapt to it. It's still shocking, but the more you see it, the less you're impacted by it. So I had really no problem getting through, like, I had a slight problem getting through the first action scene, which I thought was incredible. But all the other ones I was like, okay, I can do this. This is fine. I don't feel that overwhelming intensity like I did. But once the film ended, and you see, they show a clip of the real Desmond Doss talking about his war experience, seeing how humble this guy was, seeing like his brother and the captain talk about him, like glowingly talk about him, and then like Desmond Doss, you know, like he's just so humble. He's like, hey, look, what I did was just through God's will. You know, I'm not a hero. I've never claimed to be a hero. You know, the heroes are over there that died for this country. But seeing that and finally having that calm after like an hour of almost non-stop warfare, it hit me. Like, it hit me really fucking hard at the end, where I walked out and I started just to have like I was like short of, like, I was breathing like really like quick breaths, and my hands were shaking, and I had trouble like speaking to the people outside who I was meeting up with and talking to them about the movie. When I like called, I had to make a phone call, and I had like a hard time talking to the person on the phone because I was just like babbling and stuttering. It was just, I've never had a film impact me like that before. And it all like just hit me in the last minute of the film. Just this like wave of overwhelming emotion. Like I felt like crying at the end. I felt like just like I had been through combat. Like I had been in the shit with these guys and lived to tell about it. It was just, and of course I haven't, but man, does Mel Gibson bring this, as far as cinematic vision goes, this is one of the most accurate and realistic portrays of all-out chaotic warfare that I have ever seen. And in a society that these days, especially through the video games that we consume, it's like we kind of tend to glorify war. We tend to glorify violence and killing. And this film shows that no. Like it's war is not pretty. War is ugly and messy, and you could get shot down in a matter of seconds before you even pick up your weapon. War is unpredictable. It's bloody. It's horrible. And yet, I don't necessarily think Mel Gibson is showing off some kind of anti-war message with this movie. I think this is a film about how, you know, if war is necessary, which war was necessary at the time, that we should be praising the people that went over there, not chastising them. Like, these people are heroes. They are warriors. I think the most telling quote I've ever seen from Mel Gibson about this movie, that actually sums up his entire career, is that he doesn't like war, but he loves warriors. And that, I think, sums up his entire career. And I love it. I think it's a great quote. Do I have any complaints about Hacksaw Ridge? I have a couple. I'll briefly go over them because I've gone on for almost 45 minutes now. I think the final image of the film is problematic because it goes against what Desmond Doss believed in as a human being, where he didn't believe he was any kind of like saint-like figure or messiah on the battlefield. He was just a guy doing the Lord's will according to him. But having Mel Gibson show this final image of him as this like angelic figure, I think is not setting a consistent tone with the rest of the film. It's not in keeping with portraying him as a character in the movie. And I think that was a misstep. I'm not going to go into specifics, but if you've seen the movie, you know what I mean. Also, as much as I am a fan of Mel Gibson's portrayal of violence, and I'm somebody that's like, good, show it all. Show all the killing. Show all the blood. Show all the dead bodies. I think some moments, especially when they go into slow motion, can get a little bit much. Like, there's a sequence at the end where somebody gets stabbed in the stomach and their head gets chopped off, and it's all done in slow motion where you see like the sword coming down, slice through the neck, and like blood has this like neat little row of dribble come out of the neck and like this pearl formation. And it's like it's stuff like that where like the rest of the violence of the film is so quick and dirty and bloody and gross that having these like little artsy moments of bloodshed just feel a little bit much. Like, I think they could have been taken out and it would have been better off. But overall, yeah, I love this movie. I love Hacksaw Ridge. I think it is the best film of 2016 so far, and I would recommend, even if you are squeamish about violence, like if you love these kinds of stories, because I personally know people who are squeamish when it comes to violence, that have seen it and like loved it. So I would recommend this to practically anybody, because I think it's a sincere, powerful, emotionally stirring work of art. It is incredible. This film stands an exact opposite of Doctor Strange as the reason I love films. And it's amazing. And welcome back, Mel Gibson. Please make another film soon. Please. Within the next 3 years, I hope we see another Mel Gibson movie. So yeah. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you like what you see, subscribe. Let me know what you think about these movies. If you agree with me, if you disagree with me, excuse me while I go drink some nice cold water, because my voice hurts now from talking so much. Anyway, see you guys later. Have a good one.